All right, we're now being joined by a couple of student athletes from Arizona State, Remy Martin and Zylan Cheatham. Questions for the guys? Right here in the aisle.
Doug Haller, The Athletic. Remy, just can you give us an update on just how you feel and maybe just from the game on last week to now, just how that progression has been?
It's been very well. I mean, you know, John, our tremendous trainer, has been doing very good, working on me and getting me ready for tomorrow. Today we took a light practice. You know, I'm on the court and I'm feeling good. I'm feeling good. We're in March Madness. I'm healthy. I'll be healthy when I get on the court. I'm just here to help my team win, but I'm feeling good. I mean, took it light today, felt nice, and I'll be ready for tomorrow.
Here in the aisle, back right.
I have one for each, but just to follow up with that, just the way that you came back on Friday and obviously pushed through when you weren't 100%. Can you just talk about how much it means to you, regardless, to be on the court with your guys?
Yeah, it means a lot to me. It means, you know, the world, just to go out there and compete and play the game that I love, but also for my brothers. You know, I know that, you know, they want me on the court, and I just did whatever I could to, nothing will stop me. We're too late in the season. We're in March Madness now. I'm going to do whatever I can to help this team, but I'll do whatever I can. This is now March. It's win or lose or go home, and, you know, we're here to stay.
And then Zylan, this just being your first NCAA tournament, have you leaned on any teammates that might have been here, or coach, or just maybe even a different mentor to give you any advice or guidance on just being on this stage?
Considering how much tournament I've watched just over my 5 years of college and pretty much my whole life, I mean, it almost seems to a certain extent like you've been here. So, like I said, I mean, I've talked to my guys. I got to experience it with them last year, not actually here, but I was in constant communication with them. I've reached out to some of my former teammates, Malik Pope, some of those guys, just to kind of get a feel for how they went about approaching each day. And everything's been pretty consistent as far as effort and just maximizing each moment you are on the floor. And I'm extremely grateful to be here.
Here on the right.
For both of you guys, what is Bobby's best quality as a coach?
Zylan, can you answer that first?
Oh, me first. My personal favorite thing about him is just the way he relates to us from a player standpoint. Obviously, he played at the highest level. He's done things that we want to accomplish as players. So he relates to us. He knows when to turn it up and expect more of you, and when to put his arm around you and, you know, comfort you to a certain extent. So he's just a very relatable guy. Even practice-wise, he knows when he's going too hard. When when I was playing, I know I would be tired in this case. So he knows how to tailor things like that. And I mean, he's changed my life, to be honest. So I love him as a coach and player.
Remy?
Yeah, same here. I mean, everything, whatever I need, you know, on and off the court. It's not only about basketball with him; it's how you're doing, you know, outside your basketball life. You know, he's just he relates to us, you know. And I'm a point guard. He was a point guard. He's done everything that I want to do in my life. So, what better guy to have but him?
Right here on the right.
Zylan, you referred to this, but I'll ask both of you. Growing up and throughout your life, you watched March Madness. What is it about it that really appeals to you? And what are your favorite moments from having watched it all your lives?
I think what makes this so special is, I mean, everyone has a season. There's 300 some odd teams in the Division I level that have a season, but not everyone gets to go to this event. I mean, there's a select few hand-picked teams that get to go to this event, and that in itself is special. But just the competitive atmosphere, everybody's pretty much fighting for their lives. It's almost like a Fortnite Hunger Games type of thing. It's an unbelievable experience. A special moment to me, I recall watching that UConn game and just seeing Kemba Walker, that whole conference tournament leading into the NCAA tournament, just that whole run it was unbelievable. And I can recall vividly the shots he made, just some of the moments he had. So I'd probably say that.
Remy?
One of my moments was just last year, being my freshman year, how we were watching, Selection Sunday and just seeing our name up there and everybody, especially Coach Hurley, jumped in the pool and had a good time. So as a freshman, coming into this, school and being able to experience that your first year with seniors that, overachieved and definitely, worked as hard as they could and learning from them. Like, it was an amazing experience for me, learning, and now we're here again.
Right here on the right.
Can you guys just talk about what this last 24 hours has been like since you got on the bus and came out to Dayton? Has it been just a lot of refocusing on the game, or are you playing some games with each other to kind of, some card games or something that you brought to kind of, ease the mind, or what's kind of been this 24 hours like?
Remy, can you answer that first?
24 hours has been fun. I mean, just being able to know that our season's still alive while, unfortunately, some other schools are not playing. But, we're focused. We're definitely focused, but we're enjoying the moment. We're enjoying every moment that we have with him. I'm definitely enjoying every moment I have with this guy right here. It's just last year. So everything has been smooth, fun, but, we also know what we came here to do.
Alan?
Dating back to Selection Sunday, I'd say it's pretty much been a roller coaster ride emotionally for me, to kind of have some uncertainty, not really knowing if you're going to get in, not really knowing how you're going to go out. And then to get selected, obviously that was a joyful moment. And then to just kind of get back to earth and realize, like, okay, it's time to work. It's time to make this moment even more special. So pretty much kind of like to piggyback off of what Remy said. I mean, it's a very joyful experience, but we're really focused and ready for the next step.
Right here on the right.
Both of you again. Can you see an advantage of being here, playing in the first four? You don't have to wait till Thursday or Friday. What's the advantage of that?
I'll answer that first. Yeah, I mean, obviously, some people would look at it as not the most ideal situation, but I mean, we find positive in every situation, and to be here and have that quick turnaround, it doesn't give us time to rest. It doesn't give us time to kind of, lose our sharpness to a certain extent, and we're gonna try to turn that into an advantage for us as far as coming off of a really good game in Oregon. I mean, obviously we lost, but we played really well. We competed really hard, and we want to try to carry those type of qualities over into this tournament. And with this quick turnaround, I think it's going to be a lot better for us.
Remy?
Yeah, definitely. Just looking at the positive things. I mean, like I said, other teams are not playing right now, so like you said, just look at the positive and everything. Literally, I mean, we're happy. We're having fun.
Any further questions? All right, Remy, Zylan, thank you for your time. Good luck tomorrow night, guys. We will be joined by the head coach of the Arizona State Sun Devils, Bobby Hurley, at 1:55. All right, now we're joined by the head coach of the Arizona State Sun Devils, Bobby Hurley. Bobby, if you like, you make an opening statement. If not, we'll open the floor for questions.
Yeah. Well, travel, everything was smooth, and just everyone's very welcoming, and we're just thrilled to be in the NCAA tournament, and had a great practice earlier this morning, and just really geared up to play.
Questions for Coach Hurley? Yep, right here on the right.
Roger Rubin from New York Newsday.
Roger.
When you guys won and got into the NCAA tournament last year, in what ways did it change the program? In what ways did people see you guys differently?
Well, I think any time that you haven't consistently gone to the NCAA tournament, it becomes a little bit unexpected. But now for the players who were in the program last year, they went to the tournament, they experienced it. Going into this year, that's on our list, our goals to make the tournament again, and that's what our guys expected to do going into the season. So it kind of sets the tone and the standard for what you're trying to do.
How about the way that people outside see you, recruits, transfers, alumni?
Yeah, I mean our program is pretty energized at the moment. I think people are very enthusiastic about what we're building and where the direction of the program is going. Our attendance numbers were outstanding again this year at home, and there's great enthusiasm in our community about the team, and I think we have an exciting team. We're a fun team to watch, and our community's really gotten behind what we're doing, and we're recruiting better. We have we're bringing in some talented guys, and where Arizona State basketball is pretty relevant.
We'll be here front right and then the left.
Doug Haller with The Athletic. Bobby, you mentioned before you left that you broke out the old highlight tapes of your Final Four runs with Duke. What was your message behind that, and when did you do it exactly?
That was a while ago. We didn't play well in one of our games, and I forget which game it was. It was some games that you play this year feel like they happened last season. As you stay in the moment all the time. But we didn't play well. I wanted to remind them of what you can accomplish and how that changes your life if you could achieve and get yourself to the point where you have an opportunity to play in the tournament. But if you're not playing well enough in your regular season, then you're not going to have that chance that all 68 teams have right now. And I was able to capitalize and be on some great teams that cut down the nets. And I told the guys it's opened doors for me in the game of basketball that probably wouldn't have been open otherwise.
You're here on the left.
Bobby, a lot of people were surprised when you took the Arizona State job. How do you like it out there, and has it been kind of what you expected so far?
Yeah, I mean, I was familiar with the West Coast just from my playing days. I was out in Sacramento, so I mean, I obviously grew up in Jersey, but there was a familiarity with that area, and I just think the way that I coached, I thought would work in the Pac-12 in terms of the style of the conference. I view myself as a guy that likes to be somewhat creative on offense, and it's a league that is notorious for scoring points and getting up and down the floor and playing a faster style. It's not a league that's a rugged league that games get played in the 50s or something. So I just thought it was a good fit for me, and I looked at it whereas you have the weather, you have a huge school, the second biggest school in the country, and just an opportunity to tap into a place that has not really consistently, been a winner year in and year out. And I thought that there was a lot that I could sell to recruits just with the Pac-12 and the way that the Pac-12 has turned out NBA talent, over the last decade, and just all the success that the league has had in the past.
4 years in, are you happy with where the program is, or do you feel like you guys should be further along, or you're past where you thought you would be?
I mean, I thought we really had a breakthrough last year just with, our non-conference, and then, getting an opportunity to play in a tournament. And I think, this year we went into this year talking about competing better in the conference. Like, we have to do a better job in our league, and I think we've taken another step in that direction. You know, just going 12-6 this year in the conference and finishing second, and so that was a goal of ours. So we're continuing to try and, you know, take steps as a program. And, you know, when you're in the NCAA tournament, we've made it now back to back. I think, you know, the guys are enthusiastic to play tomorrow, and we're trying to advance and continue to play.
Back right.
Expect to get out of Remy Martin coming off the injury, and how do you balance, you know, the fact that you need to win to advance with the fact that he might need to play 2-3 games if you keep winning games?
Yeah, good question. With Remy, it was disappointing because we were playing so well, you know, after the UCLA game in our league, and to have him in the first 2 minutes of the game, you know, have a little pull there in the groin, where you know, he was fractionally, you know, the player that he normally would be in terms of his movement. He still is a warrior and stayed in there and stuck some shots against Oregon, but you know, we needed him to be himself in order to beat Oregon. Oregon's playing at a high level right now. So, but he's had a few days, and he's got after it in treatment. And we had our meat and potatoes practice this morning, and he was moving great, and he was in every drill. So we anticipate he'll be ready to go tomorrow.
Back left here.
Jared Fialco from WRAL TV. Just curious, you got one school from Durham, North Carolina in the building already. Wondering how much contact you still have with the other, more prominent school from that area, and what, if any, advice Mike Krzyzewski gives you nowadays?
I've talked to Coach at times, especially you know, when I was at Buffalo. There was a good story there with us going into the conference tournament. It was my second year as a head coach, and my first year we lost in the first round. And I wanted to ask Coach, hey, what are you going to do this week, you know, as you prepare for the ACC tournament? And, you know, I need to win my tournament to go to the NCAAs. And Coach said, hey, you know what, I would do very limited live work with your players. The last thing you need is for someone to get hurt. You got to keep your team fresh. You got to stick to the drills that you practice, but try and avoid, you know, live reps. So as I'm going and getting ready for our game, I can't resist but to think that we may not be sharp enough. So I got to get my live reps. So I have our guys going, you know, more live than I probably should. And my player of the year in the conference drives to his right hand and rolls his ankle. And now he's laying on the sideline, and then he's in a boot, and he's probably, you know, 30-40% of what he normally would be. Kid Justin Moss. And but the rest of the guys had his back and picked him up and got us to you know, to the MAC championship that year. But, you know, I need to listen better to people that know a lot more than I do.
Here, front right.
Mark Herman from Newsday in New York. Growing up where you did, what did you and your buddies think of St. John's? And, you know, what did St. John's mean to you? And when you think of St. John's, what comes to mind?
Well, I mean, it's when I was growing up, you know, that's when I kind of fell in love with basketball. I was a college basketball fan, a Big East fan, and I remember those matchups with Chris Mullin and Walter Berry and Mark Jackson, and they'd be going against Pearl Washington, and I was a point guard, and I'd seen those guys go at each other, or, you know, Georgetown and St. John's, and all these great matchups. And I remember the, you know, all the Final Fours, you know, all those Big East teams, you know, going, and Villanova, you know, beating Georgetown, and just, you know, just so many great memories of, you know, of watching the Big East and watching St. John's and Chris Mullin.
Back in the right in the aisle.
Cheerson Snusel, KPNX. Just going off of that, what is your relationship like with Chris Mullin? And I know when you've been in basketball long enough, you kind of had connections with everybody, but Chris Mullin, possibly Buffalo, do you enjoy kind of facing teams or coaches that you have connections to?
I mean, I just think it's more about the players. For me, it's like more about like Zylan Cheatham and Lou Dort getting his first NCAA tournament experience, and Remy Martin, who just is such a winner, and he wants to play in this event. Like, the other stuff is not as meaningful. Like, I have the utmost respect for Chris and the job he's done to get St. John's to the NCAA tournament, and who he was as a player. Is a guy I always looked up to. Like, when I was growing up in Jersey, and he was playing at St. John's, and then on to the NBA, and got a chance to play against him in the Dream Team when I was on the development team. So a lot of good memories, you know, with regard to Chris.
Right here, front left.
Saying he remembers you playing very well in those workouts with the Dream Team. He thinks it really helped you, you know, for in terms of the NBA draft. What do you remember about those, you know, going up against, you know, that team and just kind of what your relationship is with Chris?
Yeah, so it was the best week of my life. You know, as a competitor and as a basketball player, you want to face like the best players that you can, and they were all in one gym for a week, and you got to see like what it kind of elevated me maybe to play the best that I've ever played in my life, just because of how good they were, and then how hard I trained to go there because I was scared to death that I was going to get embarrassed. So you really train and you get yourself ready, and then, you know, all of a sudden, you know, you're right in that game, and it's and then to have like Penny Hardaway and Chris Webber and Grant Hill on your team, it made things a little easier for me. Allen Houston hit a few threes for us too. So our development team was strong. I mean, we were young, but, you know, really talented.
Back right.
I was going to ask you about that as well, but I'll switch gears a little bit. Can you imagine kind of being in his shoes and the emotional roller coaster of losing a brother and then getting your alma mater into the tournament like he has for the first time here, and what that must be like for a coach to go through that?
Yeah, it's really, you know, heartbreaking, and, you know, you know, but Chris is strong, and he's, you know, been through a lot, and I'm sure he's got the leadership to handle it, and I think he knows, you know, that as bad as he might feel and what he's going through, that he owes it to, you know, the kids that he coaches to get his team ready and get them to enjoy this moment. He was a part of so many special moments as a player, going to Final Four and just being one of the great all-time greats in the Big East. So I'm sure he wants his players to experience that as well.
You on your front right.
Bobby, there's an idea that that coaches who played at a high level may struggle because they can't bring out that work ethic in today's kids. Have you, in your experience, has that been a challenge for you at all to get kids to work maybe to the level that you worked as a player?
I feel like when I played, I maybe overachieved, and you know, I had people doubted me most of my career, and I had to work at it. I was fortunate to grow up in a household that you know, was a legendary coach that, you know, I had access to every day, and to direct me and give me the right ways to practice. But, you know, my dad pushed me and developed a work ethic in me to achieve what I achieved on the floor. So I know that's you can't be a success, and you can't take the game as far as a lot of the guys that you coach want to take it if you don't have that drive and that work ethic. So, you know, we try and you know, through evaluation, see guys that want to get better, that want to work, and are serious about the game, and we try and identify that when we recruit guys and bring them into the program.
Right here on the right.
Roger Rubin from New York Newsday. Bobby, as a person who cared about basketball growing up in the greater New York area, how would you describe what St. John's meant to the New York basketball scene as a whole?
Yeah, I mean, you just remember just how electric, you know, the Garden was, you know, in those matchups, and just it was on par with you know, the Knicks at the time. You know, it was going to Final Fours, and, you know, and Coach Carnesecca had, you know, so much charisma with how he coached, and, you know, it was just it was a fun team to watch. They were a very exciting brand of basketball.
Right here on the right.
I know it's a quick turnaround and all, but is there a positive about coming here to play in the first four, or instead of waiting till Thursday or Friday to play?
Well, I mean, I'm considering. I mean, maybe should go and meet with a realtor and maybe look to buy a house here, because I'm here, you know, a couple of years now. So I might do that later today if I have time. But, you know, it's just to be here. It doesn't. I told our media yesterday. Send me anywhere. Send us anywhere. It's the NCAA tournament. We want an opportunity, you know, to compete and win games. I love how my team is playing down the stretch. We've won 6 out of 8. Our only 2 losses were to Oregon, who's really found something and playing at a high level. So I know these guys are hungry to get out on the floor and compete.
Right here on the left, you still got one?
What worries you about St. John's, Bobby? What do they do that could give you guys problems?
Yeah, I mean, they're somewhat similar to my team last year in a lot of ways. They just like really got guys who could go off the bounce and attack the paint, and they have shooting, and they're very interchangeable. You know, just they switch a lot of stuff on defense. So, and they're very scrappy. They really have a New York way about just being a little undersized, but figuring out how to get the job done, and then they have a dynamic player in Pons, and and toughness. Clark's tough guy, and Heron, and so they we got to really take care of the basketball. It's something that we've been talking about because of how good St. John's could be in the open court if you turn it over.
Follow up.
They're like your team last year. It's not like you're facing something you're not familiar with?
It just, because they have so many guys on the floor that could hurt you from a distance and away from the basket, that's where the preparation and thinking about how you're going to defend the team like St. John's, because they are very unique. And so that's where the dilemma is for us, is with their size and guys that could penetrate and also shoot, like how are we going to consistently and successfully guard them for 40 minutes?
Any further questions for Coach Hurley? Bobby, thank you for your
All right,
time.
guys,
Good luck
thank you.
tomorrow night.
Thank you.